Hi everybody, how are you today? It is August. We made it to August. We made it through another July. So it's time for the August vlog at Stacy's Art Studio and Gardens. And today I had a couple of subjects. One is we made it through July. My videos have not been focused on what's going on around us in the world right now. Particularly the pandemic. I do talk about it some, but it's been my goal to, once this started, it's been my goal to try to keep life as normal as possible. I think it's really important for our own mental health. And as in all things with my life, we face challenges, and I always look at it and say, yes, that's a bad challenge. It's a bad deal. It's a bad hand of cards. That's the reality of it. But once we acknowledge that, I try to focus on what can we do to make it a better hand. I know I can't get rid of it, but what can I do to make it a little better? And one of the things I felt was to keep things as normal as possible. And so I've continued with my videos the way I normally do them, and I have not focused on the other information because I feel you can find that everywhere you look right now. It's a subject everywhere. Other issues are subjects everywhere, but that's not what my focus is. My focus is to try to lend a little peace and calm to your day, to your life, and try to focus on something beautiful to help us get through all of these challenges we face. So that's about all I'm going to have to say about that. But yes, this summer has probably been the toughest summer for almost everybody that I know. And it looks like it's going to continue. So we are looking at a new normal, a new way of life. And I think that's one way of putting it, is a new normal. But really for me, it's look at the rough stuff we've got. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's find some joy in the middle of it and deal with what we have to. So that's the whole thing that's happening here for this summer. But we did get through July, and we are now in August. The other thing I thought I would talk about is the growing season here in Albuquerque. But first, as always, let's talk about art. So I don't have anything of my own to show you this month because it's behind the camera. Is the one that I keep showing you every month for the last year, a little over a year, the Rose Castle painting. But it is started. I've started that last big section that I'm doing, that I'm keeping out of the camera line until the new owners get it. And I have half of the big first step started. The second half is started, and I've struggled with it a little bit, but that's the nice thing about oil, is you can clean it off pretty quickly and start again, as long as your background is dry. So that's the other thing, is this is taking quite a bit longer to dry than normal here in New Mexico because we've had a high humidity rate. And for us, that's what, 35, 36%. That's huge for us. But today it has dropped back down to 17. So it's drying up a little bit. Even my books started to smell a little musty. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do about that. I'm used to it being so dry. All I have to deal with is get all that dust off everything. You know, here in New Mexico, we call the state the land of enchantment. And one of my dad's jokes always was that the enchantment is the dust. A layer on everything, and you can never get it all off. As soon as you do, there's some more come back. But the last week and a half has just been humid, which also means our coolers don't work because we have what we call swamp coolers, and they are not your typical air conditioner. So what it is it's a tray of water, and then the fan blows on it through a filter, and then it comes into your house, and it cools quite nicely. when there's dry weather. But when it's humid, doesn't cool. It's just humid and hot. So that part hasn't been fun. However, the nice thing is when it does rain here, it cools it off. It brings it down. And once it's rained, it feels nice and cool, which is very different from other places that I've lived. Like when I moved from here to Florida, and I was just dying. I thought for sure I was boiling. It was just so hot. In fact, okay, story for you. When I arrived, I actually flew in. The rest of my family drove, but for some reason I flew. And it was when the planes, you debarked outside, not into a building. So they had the big, steps that came down outside of the plane. And I remember I was just wearing my New Mexico jeans and t-shirt and jean jacket. And I stepped outside and I literally thought I was going to die. I could not breathe because there was so much water in the air. And I didn't know anything about that. I had never experienced humidity like that in my life, other than when we lived in Wisconsin. But I don't remember it like that there, but I was real little, so who knows. But I just remember when I got off the plane in Key West, I was sure I was wearing 3,000 layers of clothes. I suddenly felt super heavy and super hot, and I couldn't breathe. So my point is, here in New Mexico, we are not used to any kind of humidity at all. So my painting is taking longer to dry, so it's taking more patience on my part. So when you're about to put on the top layer, the background has to be good and dry to do that. Otherwise, it's going to start blending in with the other layers. So that's one of the challenges with oil that I've learned. And I already knew that because everybody tells that. But here, it's not as such a huge challenge because we are super dry weather, so things dry quicker, but lately not. So I have the first part of that last section, but because it needs to be reworked, I went ahead, part of it, I went ahead and took off some of it because I didn't like how it laid. And now I'm waiting for the first part of that to dry. And then I can go in and do the details that I want to do. But I'm not showing that. I am going to show you a piece that's not mine. And I already shared it on Instagram and Facebook. But it was so sweet. This was sent to me by an artist friend. And she's super talented. And she took this picture of me while we were visiting on Zoom, but I didn't know that she was going to do a little painting. And she did this beautiful little painting and then just sent it to me as a surprise. And that was so sweet. And she's an amazing artist, so I wanted to talk to you about her. Her name is Gail Larcom, and she is in Santa Fe. But her art, and I had to mark it in pencil so it's not damaged at all because I had to, my brain, I'm not good at remembering. But her art can be found at the Range Cafe in Bernalillo, and also at the gallery that's called the High Road to Taos, and it's in Truchas, New Mexico. And of course, right now it is very difficult to travel and go to restaurants or even go to galleries. It's very tricky. So, but, write it down, remember it for when we can again. So anyway, that was really wonderful. The other thing about art I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is it's all part of this new normal situation. I've had to reassess how I do my business. I don't know if you noticed my announcement a few months back that I wouldn't be shipping anything from the stock that I have here in my home until I could feel safe to go into a post office, because I do have to be super careful protecting the kiddos' health. But I am, and then last month I talked about how I'm working on getting shipping from here. So I'm about halfway there. I'm also going to be working on smaller paintings, I think, because they're a little easier to purchase for everybody. It costs a little bit less, and also it's easier to ship. However, I will still be able to sell the larger pieces. Here, I'll see if we can move this up. Yeah, so you can see that very large piece is actually only available as a print on Fine Art America, but the piece back here, this piece, is still for sale, and it is a larger size painting. Those, as always, I have always shipped in, let's see, we've got crooked here. Let's see if we can straighten out. Nope. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Here we go. It's a little better. I've always taken those off the frames and then shipped. I don't have a tube right here. I was going to show you, but I don't have it right here. I take them off of the frames and I roll them very carefully in canvas material, a drop cloth material, or cotton, something very gentle. I roll them up and then I put them in a tube and ship them to you in a tube, and then you have to reframe them yourselves. Most of my pieces are traditional sizes that you can find a basic frame at Hobby Lobby or shipped to you via through Amazon, Hobby Lobby, Michaels, and then also there's local framing people. If you want to put it in a big professional frame, and then you can take it to them. But the cheapest and easiest way that I know of is go get the same size frame that the painting is in. Say it's 16 by 20, then get a 16 by 20 stretched canvas, because it's already got a nice wood frame on the back of it, and you can take that empty canvas off, and then you can re-staple my piece back onto that frame. And that's usually my advice when anyone buys them when they are that large. Let's see, a few years ago I shipped a really large piece. I think it was 36 by 48 all the way to Britain, and that had to be in a very large tube, and then she reframed it there. And so, in fact, I have quite a few large pieces that have gone to faraway places like Sweden and Britain and Ireland, and those all had to be shipped in a tube. There is no way that they can be shipped framed. But the smaller pieces I'll be shipping framed in either a box or envelope. And I think the website will be ready sometime in September. That is the goal. I think I'll have all the shipping stuff ready. Also, I think in September I will be having available on my website a place you can sign up for personal classes via the internet with me for things like making your own lotion, oils, things like that maybe you're curious about and would like one-on-one or a few people in a class. And I haven't gotten the whole format finished, but I'm getting closer. And I'm, just really want to do it for fun. It should be a fun activity, not a frustrating thing. Also, I have a real passion that's why I share so much on YouTube and places like that. I have a real passion for making your own products. Because I've been doing it for so long, and I've found so much freedom in doing that. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be ready by sometime in September. That's the goal, but you know me, we'll just see. Thankfully, hubby's working on it, and he's very professional at website stuff. I am terrible at it, so I'm just so grateful that he's been able to take some time and get to work on it. The other thing that I will be changing, and I have said I wouldn't, and so I'm changing what I said, and that is I am going to try some different camera stuff in the gardens, so that it's just a little better quality. I might even edit it just a little bit. It's so painful to say that because I don't want to spend the time doing that. But I will still come to you very honestly and raw. One of my last videos I just put up, I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't even have my hair pulled back. I try to be, when I started this process, I put on a lot of makeup because I was very concerned about how I would look on camera. I was worried about what I was wearing and how I looked. I still am a little bit with that. I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera, but over time, practicing and doing this has been a really great experience. I think just for my self-esteem, to be honest, I think a lot of people should do it because my goal really has been to be makeup free and comfortable, and I want to show that to other girls and other women. Hey, I think makeup's great too. I'm not picking on you for makeup at all. I just would like to be able to be makeup free and be comfortable with that. And so now I am just down to some mineral powder, and that's it. So I'm getting there. I feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm comfortable with that. And so I don't remember why I started that crazy conversation. Because as you know, you can see I like my jewelry. I like my hair up funny. I'm not super girly, but I think it's great if you are. I just think you should be free to be comfortable with who you are, and sometimes that's hard to do. And I have struggled with it my whole life, to be honest. I have had eating issues. I've had self-image, can't remember what it's called, where you can't really see what you look like, issues. I've had times in my life where I have been so horrified by myself that I would not ever be caught on camera. In fact, I have whole sections of my life where there are no pictures because I was very excellent at hiding from the camera. And I think it was when my son was a certain age and I thought, there's no pictures gonna be with me and him. When he was real little, I allowed a few with me, and then as he got a little bit older, I had trouble with it. But I thought, what a tragic thing. My life, my heart is outside my body. It's in him now. And if I'm not in those pictures with him, and if I'm in those pictures super unhappy because of how I perceive myself, then I'm taking the joy away from that moment that I'll never get back because he's growing. Children don't stay still. They grow, and then that moment's gone, and now it's either a precious memory or one that you wish you had let yourself be joyful in. And I did not want to have too many of those moments where I wish I had let myself be joyful in. And even now, I look back at the pictures and I can see, and I remember there's certain pictures that I know I had not let myself be joyful in those moments. And it doesn't bring back a happy memory. The other ones, yes, lots of happy memories. But I finally have, over the years, been able to free myself a little bit from thinking like I do. And I really believe it does not matter what you actually look like. It's all about your own perception of yourself. And it's all about either the negative view that you have or the positive view. And, I think I wrote something a few years back about how I had to really work hard at seeing the value of who I am, not what I look like. Because that's a really bad trap to be in. Because then you lose the value of who you are. At least that's been my experience. So doing all these videos has been a really big challenge for me, but it's also been very healthy because I've been able to overcome some of these issues. And I want to thank you for coming along and encouraging me and seeing what I do, not what I look like. And it's been a great journey so far. And so it's going to continue, but I am going to be doing a little bit more editing, but I'm going to stay very honest I'm not going to try to manipulate the video too much, except so that you can see it clearer, and have a particularly outside. I've noticed some of my videos are a little grainy, a little bit pixely, and so we're going to work on that a little bit. And thankfully I've got hubby to help me with that. I've also noticed, so in my book here, right here, oh, talk about art. We can talk about some more art. Okay, this book is all the paintings that I have sold over the years. This is one of my favorites. It was one of my very first ones that I did. This one went, I write down where they went. Okay, so this one went to Florida, and that one went to Texas, Arizona, a bunch of fun places that these things went to, Pennsylvania. But the photos are really bad. This one here. So you really cannot see what these pieces look like. And I really regret not having a good camera. And honestly, I'm surprised they sold, to tell you the truth. Because this is what they saw online. And this one went to Tennessee. Oh, that's one of my favorites too. It was so much prettier than that picture. But it's fun going through these. Oh, this one went to Australia. And it just looks like a dark blab on that picture. But it was much better than that, I promise. I noticed, you know, when I was selling all of these, and it's gotten a little better because my photos have gotten a little better, but people would order them, and then they would be, when they would get there, they were like, oh, it's so much better than I ever thought. That's because the pictures were so bad. So, I don't know, I think that's a good thing. It's better to be surprised that it's better than to be disappointed that it's worse than what you thought. Oh, this one went to Canada. That's cool. I'm looking for the one that went to, well, there's too many to go through to figure out right now. But anyway, I keep this little book, and it's a good reminder for me of, you know, how I've improved in quality of photographing it. But I've been looking at some of my older ones online, and they need to be improved because, of course, these I can't take pictures of. They're already gone. So the ones that are rough, you know, online will have to stay, because I have the page in the new website. There's a portfolio, and it's going to show all the paintings that have found their homes or been sold. I like to say they found their forever home. I don't know, because they're kind of like my children, so I like to say that. But going forward, I know I need to do a little better quality in photographs so that you can see the colors and the variations. The only problem with art is colors and variations change with the lighting in your own home, the monitor on your TV or your computer. And you're not going to see it truly accurately until it's in your own home, and even then it'll look a little bit differently because of how the lighting is in your home. It's amazing about color. Okay, let's go to the gardens. I talked way too long about all the other stuff. So gardens, everything's going really well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our growing season here in New Mexico. It, on the back end, is longer. The front end, we tend to have to plant a little bit later because we have late freezes. However, on the back end, we can still be growing a full garden all the way through September. It's actually pretty hot here in September. And then part way into October, usually in the middle of October, we will see snow on the tops of the mountains back there, and we will start seeing some colder weather, so then you can change to your colder weather vegetables. But the tomatoes and the melons will continue to produce all the way through there. So that's a nice benefit here. That's looking at something like the negative of having a lot of dry, hot weather. You change that to a positive and start growing, on the back end of everything. However, I'd like to point out New Mexico has a huge variety of climate, even though it's all dry and it's all pretty hot. But there's a variety of elevation. And so in my friends in the East Mountains, they couldn't grow past into September very long because it starts to get colder up there. My friends down in TRC, down by Carlsbad, it's unbearably hot right now. And I don't think, if it was me, I don't think I would be growing a garden outside right now. I think I would wait and grow through part of the winter season. A lot of people do that in Arizona, where they'll grow through the winter season instead of the summer season because the heat is too intense in the summer. And how discouraging, you plant stuff just to burn up. So that could be a problem. I have run across, finally, I couldn't find some before pictures of my spaces, and I was so sad because I really wanted to get a true picture of what it was before and what it is now. And I came across the old listing on this house, and I was able to get the pictures off of that listing. So I'm really excited. Oh, Molly has somebody to yell at. She keeps imagining people are coming because we haven't ordered anything in a long time, and she's like, where are they? And the UPS truck keeps going to the neighbor's house, and she's just like, why? She's a funny girl. Anyhow, so all the spaces are pretty much, I would call them mostly completed. The kiddos is still got the gravel to go in, and we still have the wall to finish, which I'm going to get a picture of before I actually finish that wall with the lime wash. But most of all the heavy lifting. Hey, Molly. Perhaps we have a delivery. It's what she does when they come up to the door. She likes to really bark. I'll have to check. I did order a couple of things. Are we done? Sorry about that, guys. Every time I try to talk, she starts barking. See, stuff like this, I don't think I'll edit out because it's kind of funny. It's just real life, right? Don't you all have a dog that barks? I do. I definitely do. Speaking of which, so behind us, the folks moved their trampoline to the shorter part of our wall, and they go out there every day, bounce above the wall, their heads come floating. She really does not like floating heads. That just really makes her crazy. It's really pretty funny. Actually, now she's like I think she just does it for fun. Now it's entertainment, not like, oh my God, what is floating above my fence? Now she's like, oh, look, they're there. Let's bark. So every day, a certain time of day, she goes out and barks at them. They jump. It's like, something for her to do. It's good for her. I don't know about them. I hope it doesn't drive them too crazy. Actually, I do make her come in. I don't let her bark the whole time. I'm just being funny. So anywho, back to the gardens. I was going to give you a list of all the food that we are growing. So let's start in the back. We have plantain. We have muscadines. We have squash and sunflowers. I'm going to come back to sunflowers in a second. We have raspberries and lavender. We have lemon balm potatoes. We have apple trees. Well, one apple tree, one peach tree, another peach tree, another apple tree. More sunflowers, corn, tomatoes of all kinds, just lots of tomatoes. I have a watermelon, but it is not doing well because it's just not getting enough sunlight. I have muskmelon like crazy. Jalapenos. The bell peppers aren't doing great. The onions, we'll see. Strawberries. Cilantro. Tarragon. I forgot what that other herb was. Echinacea. And then I have some spinach in a pot there now. Okay, that's the backyard. The secret garden has mint, lemon balm, lavender, and the ground cherries. Yeah, that's it back there. The front yard has lemon balm, chives, garden sage, rosemary, plum tree, rosemary, and thyme. And that's it out there. And then everywhere is clover. Got a bunch of clover. Kiddo has his own little garden of herbs that I don't really remember what he's got. But so that's on all the property. I don't have the space numbers yet. I'm working on getting all that. But I think I'm really happy with that. And I do feel like there's a little more room for a few more things. I'm going to come back to the sunflowers. So sunflowers, I mentioned this on my last video. Actually, you have to do some research. I can't give you where I got my information from offhand. So, do research so that you can verify what I say. But sunflowers can clean the ground. They pull out toxins. And for that reason, we don't eat the sunflower seeds the first 2 seasons here. Because before we moved here, it was all gravel and nothing was growing through the gravel. And so if nothing was growing through the gravel, then they were spraying the gravel with a lot of pesticide, with a lot of herbicides. So the ground would absorb all of that. So what I noticed when I started growing things is the first time I would plant something somewhere, it really just didn't do well at all. In fact, it was doing very badly, and they usually died. So I would start to work the land. I would plant sunflowers for 2 seasons, and I don't consume them. The birds do, but they seem to be fine, so I'm not going to worry about the birds. I can't control where the birds are eating sunflowers. But after I've grown sunflowers in one place for 2 seasons, and I do all my other stuff, things grow really well there. That's just been my experiment, and I'm really happy with that. The other day, one of my neighbors thought he had been doing a nice thing for me, and he thought he was going to get praised when he told me he was spraying weed killer on this side of my driveway. And I was like, oh, no, please don't do that. He was like, oh. I felt bad that. I was like, oh, it's just I don't use any of that on my property at all. And I had actually noticed that some of the plants on that side by the driveway were really struggling. And I think it's because he was spraying along the edge of my driveway thinking he was helping me, but that floats and that spreads. And since I've told him to stop, the plants are looking better, but it has been raining a lot, so it could be that too. Rain is a fantastic filter. It cleans everything, it gets it all nice and healthy, so things are really healthy out front again. And I have mentioned I don't use any chemical on stuff out here. I do have a guy who comes and does bugs, but he uses a safe natural thing, and just around the edges of the house, just to keep them from coming in the house. But other than that, we don't use anything. And I've just found pulling the weeds before they go to seed works, and also replacing. You pull it, but replace it with something else that will grow well here and crowd those weeds out, such as clover. Clover crowds the weeds out that you don't want. And for me, weeds are things that have big stickers on them that will get stuck in my feet. That's my definition of a weed, or if it's poisonous. Those are the 2 things that I define as a weed. So, okay, I've talked too long again. I apologize. But thank you for coming along, and I look forward to what we'll be doing next. We call it fall in September, but here it really isn't. It's still hot. August and September July, August, September are the worst heat months and the highest cost in cooling your home. So even though we call it fall, it really isn't here. And so I'll be doing more videos of everything. And I have to say that this has been the most fulfilling year as far as growing things, the least work at maintaining it. It's been a tough year because we've added a lot of building projects that we were able to finish, and thankfully Hebby helped me with that. Otherwise I would have never gotten it finished. I still have a few small projects left, but that'll be this winter or next year. But this year has been a very fulfilling year because things have grown well, things have gotten more mature. I've been able to produce more food, and so it's been a very rewarding year so far, and all the other years have as well, but this is the first time that it has not been backbreaking. To be truthful, the years before were good for me, good exercise, and this year I've tried to limit that just a little bit. Anyhow, thank you so much for going along with me, and I will see you again in September on the vlog and videos for other stuff. And please take care of yourself and be safe.